What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
So look, we're starting this week with a bit of free Men with the Golden Tongues content. The final release trailer for No Time to Die came out today. I'm kind of happy. So like I saw like a 2.5 minute runtime for the trailer, and I was a little worried because I'm like, I've already seen like as much of No Time to Die as I care to see in the trailer. Like I'm ready for the full movie at this point. So I was kind of happy to see they ran back some of like the greatest hits moments from the other Craig films, essentially.
Yeah.
But this movie looks very cool. I will say, just from a trailer's perspective, I think this is a more exciting trailer than like Spectre was, and we like the Spectre trailer. But I think this is gonna be more exciting. This is a modern like Dr. No remake. Do you agree?
Of course. Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
That theory was the second Rami Malek was shown.
Well, like I get that, and I feel like that there was I understand why the theory, but like I feel like it's been concreted with this trailer because like they showed like an island, which I'm assuming is like his base of operations. They showed like, you know, missiles being launched off of like a naval ship, which if you guys remember Dr. No, like the premise of the Dr. No movie was that Dr. No was toppling American missiles. Mm-hmm. Which obviously like they'll probably have a much more, dire, plot hook as far as what the villain's doing in this one. But like I saw that, I'm like, all right, now I feel pretty confident in saying.
Yeah, like the first time people threw that theory out, it was kind of knee jerk, right? Because of Blofeld, being introduced. But I could see it because he had, Rami Malek had similar clothing, and you didn't see his hands at any point in those earlier trailers. This absolutely, looking at this trailer, this is absolutely a Dr. No remake, and or a story centered around Dr. No. And it makes sense, right? This is Daniel Craig's last movie. This is the last film in the Craig era, and in this era of James Bond films, like they are a part of one gigantic story. These 5 movies are a part of one gigantic story, right? It's not like the previous films where they were disparate stories.
They all existed in the ethereal now, essentially.
So, right. So yeah, man, it makes sense that it comes back to Bond's beginning, in film. And yeah, man, I am super duper excited. My wife is incredibly excited. She's a huge Rami Malek fan, of all people to be fans of. She's a huge Rami Malek fan. Like,
really like those 90 museum movies, huh? Her and my son. So
but yeah, man, I'm super excited. October can't get here fast enough.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that we've been waiting like it's been like fucking a year and a half now of delay at this point. So, but it's cool that we got the final trailer, because that tells me that finally we are actually getting this movie released in a little more than a month's time. So
yeah, but
that's very exciting. So I fired up Ghost of Tsushima, started playing through the new expansion. I haven't gotten very far in the expansion because what did happen then is I got stuck back into like Legends, because I didn't really give Legends a fair shake the first time around, because I'd just played through the full game of Ghosts at that point, so I was kind of ghosted out. It's not that like Legends isn't talked about enough. Like they did a really good job on a mode that was essentially free DLC that was completely unannounced before they dropped it.
Yeah, Legends feels like it was always meant to be there. Mm-hmm. That's how much care like was put into it, and like I would have paid for it. Like if they would have,
you can like soon if you really want. Not you, but like if you don't, like if for some reason you don't want Ghost of Tsushima but you want to get into Legends with your friends, like they're going to offer Legends or the Legends mode for $20 separately if you wanted. So
yeah, just buy Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
like, I mean, come on, like just buy Ghost of Tsushima. But it's it's a bit weird to like play all of Ghosts of Tsushima, the main campaign, and then jump into Legends, because Legends, it plays the same, but it's very different, right? Like depending on your play style in the main game. You could play if stealth is an option in a game like that, I'm going to take it, but not in Legends. In Legends, I am way more aggressive. And I feel like you kind of have to be. But who is the character that you prefer to play?
Well, I'm still on my first one because I haven't leveled that character up enough to unlock any other ones. So I chose the assassin class first. Which is fine. Like I like their specials. Like they have like this poison like smoke bomb that they can deploy, which both poisons enemies around you and turns you invisible so that you can get a free like assassination on somebody. It has like the 3 slice technique, which is basically like ghost mode in the main campaign that you can upgrade to kill additional enemies, which is very handy in like survival and things of that nature. The thing that I think I like the most about it is that it reminds me a lot of Journey. So like when you go through the story mode in Legends and you do matchmaking, like you can play with friends obviously, but if you do matchmaking, you'll just get paired with randos. And it's funny because if you get paired with someone decent, which believe it or not, the odds are actually pretty good to not get paired with a dummy in Ghost of Tsushima. Like you kind of had this unspoken communication with each other. Like you look to see what the other's doing, and like I was setting up by poisoning enemies with like my blow dart, and then like my dude was like jumping down from a cliff and like knifing everybody and doing stuff like that, or picking them off with bow and arrow. So like having that kind of unspoken bond and working together, I think is pretty cool in games like that. Like that's always fun. It makes the online experience way better too. It doesn't make it feel like that you have to play with friends. I've even done like a wave of or a match of the survival mode as well, and where that's a little bit more boring because it's pretty boilerplate. Again, that unspoken communication, especially when multiple points on the map that you're trying to hold down are getting raided simultaneously, is pretty cool. So survival is it's way more fun with friends. It's fun, but it's way more fun with people that you actually want to communicate with. And then I tried doing a raid with just a rando, right? Like somebody gave me a random invite, said, "Hey, you're trying to raid?" And you need better communication. You can't just just jump into that. And that's why I want to level, because I'd like to do a raid for with you and perhaps some folks from the community, but you do have to be leveled up to do that. So more to come on that. Like I said, Ghost of Tsushima is very good. I'll get back into the Iki campaign eventually. Like I've just played the preamble pretty much, where you wash up on shore and then you get captured and now you're breaking free, and that's where I left off. So we'll see about that. I did get my sim rig, which is tucked away in the corner over here right now. That's been pretty fun. So it's interesting when you get a wheel for a sim racing game, because you kind of have to relearn how to drive, because obviously with a controller, you only have so much finite control with the range of motion that you have on the analog stick with steering, and with the range that you have on the triggers for throttling and braking. This is actually something that PlayStation could fix in Gran Turismo 7, especially since that's coming out for PS5, like where you could do the adaptive triggers to put a little bit more pressure on them to give you more finite control. So you really, when you get the pedals in the wheel, you have to really relearn kind of what you're doing and how to drive. But I am enjoying it so far. I've definitely had a lot more struggles out of the gate, just a little bit, because especially, I swear to God, like half the cars in GT Sport, maybe more than half, honestly, because this is how most sports cars are rear wheel drive. And most of them have the engine still in the front. So the problem is with those type of cars is
you're fishtailing.
If you give it too much throttle, the ass end just wants to come around on you, especially if you're throttling too hard around corners. So easing off is something you really have to learn how to do. But the cool thing about the wheels, since you have force feedback, you can start to feel when the back end is starting to slip away from you, and you can kind of make those finite corrections in real time before you completely lose it and just spin out on the roadway. So that's exciting. It makes trail braking a lot easier as well. So trail braking is like more of a intermediate skill where when you're going into a tighter corner, not like a hairpin, but just something where you do have to slow down, but you want to get back on the gas quickly. You don't necessarily let off the gas, but you do press the brake in just a little bit to give you a little bit more turning radius. But that way you can let go of the brake and let it fly. The Logitech pedals that I have a progressive spring. So like the first 20% that you press in is a little bit easier to press in. And then if
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, if you really have to slam it down, then you have to really give it some oomph.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Cause I was going to ask you, how does it, I've never had a racing wheel, but you've driven a car enough where there's a certain feeling that you're used to feeling when you press the accelerator and the brake and if you are, what it feels like does that do a good job of simulating that?
The brake. Yes. Now the brake pedal on the kit has a higher range of motion than a brake pedal does on an actual car, because on a car you're actually pushing fluid through a piston, it's a little bit different sensation, which you can simulate by if you get like a load cell mod, like it's a little bit more realistic, that kind of thing. But the brake cell is close just because of how the spring that's in the pedal works, and they also have like a rubber stopper inside of the pedal that when you get like pushed halfway down, you're starting to push against that rubber stopper. So you really have to if you're trying to really mash, you have to I'm slamming on the brakes so hard, like my ass is coming out of the seat kind of thing. So that definitely feels a little bit more realistic. The throttle does not. The throttle has way too much give in the spring. There are very cheap, because so what I've also discovered in doing research and stuff, there's a whole Etsy / small business community that exists around 3D printing parts that you can mod these things with. And they're not expensive, because 3D printing stuff for a little disc that goes inside the pedal to preload the spring doesn't cost jack shit. So it's actually pretty easy to take these things apart. I found a wheel mod that replaces the wheel with an F1 style wheel and replaces the buttons to make them a little bit more robust, instead of just little chintzy buttons that are on the front of the wheel kind of thing. So now I'm probably gonna spend more money to mod this shit out. But it's cool. Like I said, I'm having a good time so far. I taught myself how to drive, how to use an H shifter, which is,
I was getting ready to ask, how does gear shifting work, right? Because you're not using manual in a sim racer, are you?
Of course I am.
I mean, you're not using automatic in a sim racer.
Not using automatic. So the wheel does have paddle shifters on it. So most of the time that I'm racing, I'm using the paddle shifters on the wheel, which is the way to go. But some people say that when you're driving the older cars, it feels better. It feels more realistic to use an H shifter, which I have. But I have to learn how to drive stick, because I never literally.
That's I've never learned how to drive stick, and I'm well, maybe this video game could teach me.
I mean, it gets close. I mean, it's not going to be able to simulate the feeling of actually pushing a real clutch and feeling it against the gears and stuff like that. But it at least teaches you the motion. And if you really get good at it, you can actually heel toe and do the where you hold the clutch in, but you just tap the throttle just to move it through the gears kind of thing as you're shifting, which is an advanced technique that I'm not anywhere close to. I to drive a clutch. I literally took a 67 fastback out on the oval track that they have in the game and just fucking drove around, practice shifting, braking, starting off, taking off from a dead stop, clutching in and that kind of stuff. So I'm getting my bearings value before I take it onto an actual racetrack and start fucking H shifting all over the place.
Oh man, that's gonna be, when does Gran Turismo 7 come out?
Supposedly next year.
Oh man, you're gonna be. I can't wait to hear about your marathon racing runs.
It's that, and I'm also I'm now I know I said I wasn't gonna do it before, but I'm playing enough of these now, and I'm into it enough. And plus, I need to justify this massive expenditure that I just made So I'm probably going to pick up F1 2021 at some point and start fucking around with that, because I will say the cars that have been easiest to drive in Gran Turismo with the wheel have been the formula cars. Like the formula cars handle so smoothly just because they're so low to the ground, like the engine's in the middle of the car, so it's nice and balanced. Like you can just zoom around like crazy in those, and it's not a big deal. So I've been having a lot of fun. It's again not something I would recommend that everyone run out and go buy, but if you happen to have the money to make a frivolous expenditure on such a thing, then it's a pretty cool way to immerse yourself a little bit more.
Well, you got to also be into it, right? Like I got the money to get it, but I'm not going to do it because I'm not like into it yet. You know what I mean? Like I'm just now getting into soccer. So I started playing FIFA 21.
Yeah. How's that been going so far?
It's it's a more complicated game than I thought it would be. And
well, you did knock the difficulty down, right? That's the one thing I'll tell you with FIFA is don't let your pride get
no. I'm playing this to get more of a grasp on the actual game, right? Like I'm playing this to know what offsides is. You know what I mean? And but it's coming along. It feels weird playing an EA sports game again, because you're kind of inundated with like, not even like they're not inundating you like a cell phone game it would, but they're pushing you toward like FIFA Ultimate Team.
Oh, they try.
Yeah, man. Like they're really leaning into it. You know what I mean? And I just want to run some drills and play a couple games, and I'm terrible, but yeah, it's fun. I can see why people would be super into it, especially because, you know, one of the things that people who don't follow soccer, I'm assuming, is because it's a low scoring game, so they think nothing's happening. Nah, yo, stuff's happening.
Let's say one of my biggest pet peeves that people criticize soccer and they're like, well, there's not enough goals. I'm like, it's one thing if there's not, like, it's one thing to say, oh, there's not enough goals, like that's fine, but there is still scoring chances, like there's still action happening.
Yeah, man. Like I was watching last week, man, and it's even more tense, right? Like the lack of high scoring makes the game so much more tense.
Well, it also makes goals so much more impactful.
They're so much more impactful. Yeah, man. Like, oh well, Liverpool's got a free kick, and I'm like, please God, yo. Like, I'm like, yo, come on, man. And it just, yeah, man. Like, I'm getting into it, and you know, FIFA is still not a game that I would rush out and buy. Like, I'm not going to buy FIFA 22. Right.
Like nor do I recommend you do. I'm probably not either, just because again, I'm now getting into this other corner of gaming, and I'm just not going to have time to sit down and dedicate to it. So
right. But I totally see why people are into it the way that they are into it.
Yeah. The new soccer thing you learned this week is about red cards. So Chelsea Football Club's giving you some nice like they're easing you in, kind of teaching you new things as you go along.
Yeah, man. So I get the concept of like the red card. I didn't understand like the penalty was so severe.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's like I've heard of a power play in hockey, right? But that's, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a limited amount of time.
Yeah, it's a short amount of time. It's like 2 minutes to 5 minutes, depending on the level of the infraction, essentially.
Right. But when James got a red card and then he was done, and then the commentators kept going saying, they're doing okay for, having a man down for the rest of the game. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, and then I had to look it up. It was wild, man.
Well, and when you texted me, I wasn't watching the game at that point, because I was watching the rained out Belgian Grand Prix at that point in time, which kind of started but didn't. That's a whole other thing. so I didn't see the foul. So I assumed that he had like murdered somebody on the field and got sent off for that. But then I saw the foul. So basically, a red card can happen in 3 situations. The first one is if you 4 situations. Flagrantly foul somebody. If you rack up 2 yellows, then that's a red. That'll get you sent off as well. If you foul somebody on what is considered a obvious goal scoring opportunity. So in lay terms, that basically means if the attacker with the ball gets past the last defender and they take him down from behind, then that's a red card because you denied essentially a goal from happening with a foul. And then the last thing, as you found out this weekend, is if you commit a handball in your penalty box. That is also an automatic red card and a penalty kick. It's a double whammy.
Yeah, and that wasn't a handball, but I mean, it was a handball by the strictest definition of the ball hit the guy's arm inadvertently. But I would argue that he wasn't trying to use his hand to block it, but
he brought his hand to the ball like.
He brought his head because he was fucking trying to block it with his leg, and he had to balance himself. Otherwise, he's gonna fall on his ass.
Ball to hand is okay. Hand to ball is a foul.
God, yeah, I was like, this is bullshit, man.
You sound like a real soccer fan now. Though this is great. You've already had your first experience of the referee screwing you over. I'm assuming Liverpool scored on the penalty as well.
They did. Of course, they did. Yeah, and but they like you said, what happened? Chelsea just kind of held it to a draw.
Yes,
which was probably like the best thing that they could possibly do.
Well, like I said, when you're playing a top team in their stadium, like if you come out with a draw, like that's a pretty good result for the most part.
But yeah, man, like there were some scoring opportunities, down to the wire, and I was just like, yo, like, woo! Like it was exciting, man. It was really cool, man. I really dug it. There was one other thing I wanted to ask you, but I can't remember. If I remember, I'll ask you later. But yeah, no, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I don't know if all of you people are listening. I don't know if you're aware of soccer, but you should give it a try. It's a really fun sport to watch.
Yeah, and it's never been easier to watch it in the United States.
Yeah,
all the top European leagues.
As much as we talk about wrestling and wrestling being on Peacock. They have all the games on Peacock. Yeah,
if you're already subscribing to WWE for WWE purposes, you can adopt an EPL team and go from there. So time to talk about video games on the Video Game Podcast. It's so Games with Gold. They dropped those today. You're getting Warhammer Chaos Bane for the entire month of September. You're getting Mulaka from September 16th through October 15th. On the 360 side, you get Zone of the Enders for the first half of the month, and then Samurai Showdown 2 for the second half of the month. So that's exciting. They also leaked the PlayStation Plus games. I'm going to take this as gospel. If it's different next week, when we actually find out what they are, then we'll pass that information along. But as far as we know, you're getting Overcooked All You Can Eat, which has both Overcooked 1 and 2 with enhanced 4K. It's a good deal. If you haven't played Overcooked, it's worth checking out. You get Predator's Hunting Grounds. So I'm justified in having waited for this game. And now I will play it for free. And you get Hitman 2, which is also, that's a solid month, I feel like.
Yeah. I'm curious about Predator. I'm very curious about Predator. I like the idea, but I feel like there have been a lot of these types of asymmetrical, like, multiplayer games where it's where it's a bunch of like average people against one souped up like person.
That's actually from what I've heard, that's actually the biggest flaw of Predator Hunting Grounds is playing as the Predator is kind of lame, actually.
Yeah, I heard that like the Predator can be taken down by like 2 people, and it's not like the Predator should be super powered, right? Like it should take tactics to take down, and this goes for any game of that ilk, right? Like it should take like real tactics to take somebody out, not just like bum rush them.
It's interesting that this is coming out for free now because Alien Fireteam Marines or whatever the hell it's called is getting good reviews, even though it's definitely from a technical standpoint a little lacking. But so it's very curious that this is coming out now, and I'm sure they didn't plan that necessarily, but who knows? Maybe they did. Maybe they did look ahead and see it. As far as other stuff that's coming out, it's kind of a light week this week. Book of Travels comes to PC. The Big Con comes to PC and Xbox. Crown Trick comes to PlayStation and Xbox. Kiwi comes to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Monster Harvest comes to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Rustler comes to PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Train Life, a railway simulator. Now those are being put into colon subtitles. Comes to PC. Lake comes to PC and Xbox. El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron comes to PC. Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous comes to PC. WRC 10 comes to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Big Rumble Boxing, Creed Champions comes to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Family Trainer comes to Switch. Kitaria Fables comes to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. And The Medium, formerly an Xbox exclusive, comes to the PlayStation 5.
I'm waiting on Tales of Arise and maybe Lost Judgment. I'm waiting to see if Lost Judgment and Tales of Arise are Game Pass games.
I've asked this question of you before, but I'm going to ask it again because they released another round. They released the final round of preview coverage for Deathloop. Have you seen any of it?
I have not. I there's something about like the fact that that Arcane is making it.
Yeah.
They make quality games. I just can't get into them for some reason.
Do yourself a favor and go seek out GameSpot's like 16-minute video on YouTube that Tamor Hussein and Lucy Bryan put out talking about it. You will be sold.
Okay.
Like I was already there. And then when those videos came out, like I watched that video. I listened to Kind of Funny podcast talk about it a little bit. Once I listened to those, I pre-ordered Deathloop, Micah. I have put my money on the table. I've slammed my money down, my $53.99, because I got 10% off for being a PlayStation Plus member, and I have pre-ordered the game. I have now committed to buying Deathloop. That is how sure I am that this game is going to be a very good game.
All right, I see the article here. I'm going to read it when we're done. Yeah, but what did you think about Arcane's other games? Like,
I didn't care for them. I played through the first third of Dishonored 1, fell off, never gave Dishonored 2 a shot, and Prey I knew was never going to be my jam, so I never got into it. But I think one of the things that they've talked about, Arcane specifically, has been making a game that has a little bit more broad appeal just from a thematic standpoint, which is why they consciously went with the theme that they're going with, because they even said, they're like, yeah, we realize that whale punk's not necessarily for everybody. So I think that putting a theme on it that's a little bit more palatable, with the gameplay trappings that appear to be in Deathloop, I think is going to make for a much better experience.
Okay. All right. I'll blame you when my wallet is screaming at me.
But yeah.
All right. If you want to play Deathloop with us, if you want to be the woman that jumps in and just shoots that black dude in the head.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's a thing that can
happen. You can tell us about it on our Discord. You can go to duncepixels.com/fans, and maybe we'll fire up that LFG channel.
We just added F1 and racing and soccer channels in the Discord as well. So if you want to come in and talk about that stuff, there's channels for you there.
There you go. Go to youtube.com/densepixels and subscribe. Click the bell notification icon and select, I don't know, all or, you know, I don't know, whatever you got to do to make sure that you get all of our videos. You can have it on in the background while you're working. That's what I do. And that'll really help us out. Yeah. You can subscribe to all of the TMP Studios podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, including the Nerd Apocalypse, Black on Black Cinema. We just recorded a new episode of Black on Black Cinema featuring a guest from another podcast that I kind of guest on every once in a while, and she did a wonderful job. And we talked about the film Miss Evers' Boys, which is about the Tuskegee study, and of course the conversation inevitably went to COVID and how all you Black people who don't want to get the vaccine because Tuskegee don't know what you're talking about. Coming distractions, the contemporary movie review show. Jay just reviewed Candyman. Apparently he loved it. And the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. If that's not enough, you can go to densepixels.com/premium for $5 a month or $50 for the full year. You get access to the premium slate of all of the backlog of our premium content, including the airing of grievances. New episodes coming soon. No Time to Bleed. The Men with the Golden Tongues. New episode coming this month, September. Upstage
I guess as you're listening to this, it's September. So
yeah, as you're listening to it, there's a new episode of Upstage Conversation featuring Carrie and Terrence. Terrence is back, kind of, sort of, maybe. They're talking about In the Heights, and the full episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast, which you never ever want to miss. Even when they decide, you know what, I know we're not at the hour mark, but I gotta say what I gotta say. So densepixels.com/premium.
There's a shitty YouTuber out there who nobody should watch. I'm not even going to put his name out there because he's terrible. But someone screen capped a thumbnail from a video that he posted, saying like, "Oh, the new Candyman like is a social justice movie. Like they shoehorned in like social justice issues into Candyman with this new film." And my response to that was, tell me that you've never seen the original Candyman without telling me that you've never seen the original Candyman.
Yeah, man. Like, it took place in the projects, like Candyman was a slave, like, all right.
So, but yes, they shoehorned all this stuff into the new I guess. So we had a week free from Activision Blizzard, but guess what? It's back. It's back again because only a short story this month, though, which is thankful. And there's no new details about like any more abuse, which I guess is a good thing, because that sucks to hear about if we have to hear about it. However, the state of California has expanded their lawsuit against Activision Blizzard. One of the reasons that they've done this is because they're like apparently the lawsuit claims that documents that are related to the investigations and complaints were shredded by the human resource personnel of Activision.
Come on. What are you doing? I mean, tell me you're guilty without telling me you're guilty.
Seriously, Activision has refuted this. They put out two statements saying that these claims are not true. And they've also said that they provided the department of whatever department is suing them that they've clear evidence that we do not have gender pay or promotion disparities. Of course, like this was the wrinkle in the story that everyone should have seen coming.
Yeah, they made that statement as toilets were rapidly flushing in the background. Like, come on, man! Like you're doing what drug dealers do when the police are at the door.
I wonder if when this lawsuit was handed down, if the scene was akin to like when a country is like having to suddenly pull out of an embassy, and like they're just trying to destroy like every piece of documentation in the building before they leave and incinerate it all so that it doesn't fall into the hands of whatever group is running rampant in the country to try to do that shit. Like wow, it's like watching the opening scene in Argo, essentially. So
yeah, man, like that's what guilty people do, man. Guilty people want to
destroy evidence. So We'll see if more to come there. Another story that probably is not going away as well is the Unity story that we talked about last week. Of course, Unity having a bunch of contracts with the Department of Defense specifically. One of the ways that they combated this in the wake of the story coming out is Unity CEO, formerly EA CEO, John Ricciello, had a town hall meeting with the employees of the Unity Corporation to kind of explain some things to them. The first thing he said, like the opening thing that he talked about, I'm going to quote directly from him. The majority of you are going to agree with what I had to say today. Some won't. And while I know this will be difficult to hear for some, I understand that a few of you may determine that Unity is not the best fit for you. So basically, like I get that you're upset about this, and if you don't want to stay, then fuck off, I guess, because we're still
kick rocks. I mean,
basically, a lot of sources basically said that they promised like clarity, but they were basically kind of like bullshitting their way through this presentation, like kind of weight concerns and of sorts.
Yeah. So, okay, Ricciello did not provide a clear answer to employees' questions about how Unity's work would directly lead to loss of life. Quote, a lot of employees are curious if Unity has worked on projects surrounding the simulation of using weapons, weaponized vehicles, training to harm people or training soldiers, says Unity's Director of Communications, Marissa Graves, said in a meeting, relaying the question from employees. Okay, here's this dude's response. Well, training soldiers to do what? Stop right there. Okay. Stop right there. You know what they're talking about. Okay. So everything else from here on in. Okay. Training soldiers to do what? We definitely work on training. We don't work on things that involve direct loss of life. Okay. So indirect loss of life? That's what that says to me. Training soldiers is a little broad. Yo, you're being pedantic. And when you have to be pedantic about shit like this, well, like you're nah.
Well, and you always like my other favorite part of when shit like this happens is when you get when you get quotes floated out by like upper management folks or middle management folks, because like those are always just like the most like wanking possible fucking quotes. Like there's a quote here from Michael Rice, who is the manager in the partner operations management. And this was released as a statement by Unity themselves, of course, and you'll understand why when you hear the quote. John's comments yesterday at the town hall were great and honestly moved me to tears. I know where he sits politically, but I felt so warm and at home by his commentary. Personally, as a U.S. Marine Corps combat veteran, 2002 through 2007, and as someone that has been deployed twice to Iraq, I think respect in this discussion should be given to all veterans of all nations that work at Unity. Like, I guess, man.
There's a lot of humanitarian things that soldiers do. There's a lot of things that you can train soldiers in, but training drones to kill people? No, you're not training drones. You're not training drones. You're programming drones. Okay. You're making drones. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Come on. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm moved to tears as well. Fucking tears of laughter. Come on, yo. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing, man?
This well, was, and here's the dead giveaway, right? Here's like the fucking dead giveaway of it all. Ricciello basically like so this is the same rationale that was given by people who like didn't leave high-ranking positions in like the Trump administration, for example, despite like evidence of like incredible depravity. And the excuse they basically gave was, well, imagine what would happen if people like me weren't here. So like the quote from Ricciello was like, we'd rather work for positive change inside these organizations and do good work than be on the outside and have no influence.
Yo, shut up, yo. No, dude. No, it doesn't work like that, yo. It doesn't work like that. Like, okay, all right. Yeah, this is Yeah, they're making drones. Yes,
just so you can like get the how seriously they're taking this. Like one of the things that Richella also says was like, so basically the question was in response to whether Unity would be open to working with like the Chinese or Russian military. And like, so like the point that John Richelle was trying to make was like, oh, there's very obvious lines that we would never cross. His quote was, well, I don't think we do anything for like the Ku Klux Klan. Like they've got a simple mission that's one that doesn't align with who we are.
Oh my God,
like, it's about just like, come on, man.
Yo, invoking the Ku Klux Klan is like invoking Hitler in an argument, right? Like it's low hanging fruit. You shouldn't do it. It's in this respect, right? Like, well, I mean, we wouldn't help the most evil people in society, but
well, here's my thing. I don't necessarily have a problem if Unity wants to take on government contracts. Like that's their right as a company to do that.
Sure,
they want to work in that space, it's fine. But I think they owe it to their employees and their shareholders, for that matter, to be transparent about the things that they're doing. Because if you are an employee of Unity that's morally opposed to the war machine in the United States and in the world, for that matter, you shouldn't be forced to like check your values at the door if you don't want to. There are plenty of people who work in jobs that they do have to sacrifice of some of their moral values to, again, because they they think they're influencing from the inside, or maybe they just really need the gig and principles only get you so far and you need money to pay the bills. Like I get that as well, but at least be transparent and let people go in to this situation clear-eyed so that you don't have questions like this. And then don't do a town hall where it looks like you're just, you're just smoke screening everything. Like you're like, hey, we're gonna be transparent. And then you don't answer any really answer any of the questions that people want to know the answers to. Like one of the things he kept saying that kind of wave off this stuff, he's like, well, we work with other governments too. And this is like less than 5% of our business. So like, it's not that big of a deal, but like, it is a big deal. Like you have a company that's valued at billions of dollars. And again, it's just about being honest with your employees and with the people who do business with you. I think at the end of the day, that's really all people are asking for.
Yeah. And look, those people don't have to work there. If they don't like it, they don't have to work there. But like, don't say that don't say that you are an adoption agency, but 5% of your business is a puppy mill, right? Like you can't like let the person know that, and then they can decide if they want to work there.
Yeah,
that's all. I'm not saying they have to employ people. I'm not saying that they have to say that you have to agree with what we're doing, but you should, like you said, you should give people enough respect to be aware of what they're signing on for. And if they want to sign on for it, great for you and them, right? And if they don't, great for them. Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, I have a feeling that this one's not gone either.
I don't think we do anything for the Ku Klux Klan. Like that whole sentence, man. Oh, well, I don't think we would. I mean, if the money's right, then maybe. Like that's what that comes off as.
I don't know if the KKK could raise enough capital to fund a Unity project, but who knows? Speaking of governments, so one of the trends in gaming over the past several years has been game companies like tripping over themselves to find ways to crack into the Chinese market, because there's literally 1.5 billion people that live in China, and many of them play video games. And if you can market your product to 1.5 billion people that didn't exist before as a marketing base, you're going to stand and make a lot of fucking money. So we've seen this pop up in tons of games, be it restricting content, like censoring games of some sort when releasing in China. We've seen it in the film industry as well. But here's the thing about China. Communist country, incredibly authoritarian government that has kind of an iron control over their citizens. And perhaps you should not bend over backwards to crack into this market at the expense of your other partners, to the extent that you have to do it at the extent of your other partners, because just announced from the BBC News, apparently the Chinese government would like to restrict online gaming in China for children, so this is people under 18, for 3 hours a week, 1 hour each on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday between 8 and 9 p.m. And also on public holidays, they'll also lift that gate as well. According to a report that came out recently, and this actually put a ding into Tencent's holdings one time when this came out, the Chinese government referred to video games as, quote, spiritual opium for the kids of the country.
Oh shit.
And it's not, and the government's going to do this by cracking down on the companies that police these servers for these games. They're going to, like, the companies are going to have to be the ones to enforce the time limit. So apparently this has been ticking down, because they used to restrict kids to 3 hours a day for games on each day of the week. And now it's 90 minutes a day to play games for each day of the week. And now they're narrowing it down to an hour a day for 3 specific days during the week.
Jesus.
Apparently the way that they're going to be tracking this is through real name identification to log and track the online gaming habits of children. Again, something that you can do in an authoritarian country.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and to make sure the kids can circumvent this and, like, use their parents' IDs, Tencent, back in July, we didn't cover this, launched facial recognition technology to make sure that children could not circumvent their way around this.
Look at all that like innovation and technology, and look at what it's being used for. God damn.
So you moving to China anytime soon?
I can't look. I want to go to Japan for my 50th birthday, and my wife is like, "Oh, and maybe we could swing around to China." I don't know.
Like, well, we're playing video games. Like, you're a bird man. You'll be okay. You'll be fine. You'll walk around there. They'll all think you're a basketball player. Like, it'll be amazing. So.
Look, if they think Jay was a basketball player in Singapore, they'll think I'm fucking Godzilla or some shit, man. God damn. Yeah, I can't imagine, man. I can't imagine. Wow.
Crazy.
That is crazy. You know what else is crazy? Amazon. They are crazy with the savings. I don't know. I'm really bad at these. Go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all your Amazon purchases. When you go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all your Amazon purchases, you can get what you want at no extra cost, and you help us out a little bit. You can go to densepixels.com/Amazon and get yourself a camera bag, because that's what I got. Go get yourself a camera bag, and a new mic stand. Get yourself a new mic stand from densepixels.com/Amazon.
There you go. Big post office this week. So Ricky came in after the wire last week just to be excited about the new announcements for Destiny 2. Gotta tell you, I've never missed being in the Destiny community more than I've missed being in the Destiny community for like the past week, because they detailed like what's coming with the new seasons. They confirmed that Savathun is coming, which everyone's known for, quite some time. And apparently, Micah, you will fight Guardian, like Hive, that can wield the light against you. There'll be Hive in the game that could use this like Guardian powers against you that you have to face off against.
Oh,
so right. Apparently the lure has been like banging for the last year, basically, in Destiny. So basically, right when I fell off, the storytelling got like amazing.
You going back?
No, I can't. I've discovered that I have room in my life for like one lifestyle gaming niche, I guess you can say. And I have now moved over to sim racing for that lifestyle gaming niche. So like I can do sim racing and play other stuff. And that like I can't go back. I can't put Destiny back into that rotation, or I can't go back to FIFA to the extent that I used to play FIFA back in the day, just because I don't have the time for it like that anymore.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But I'm happy that Destiny is still apparently alive and kicking.
Yeah, it's like the last season had you fighting like side by side with the Fallen, against like an insurrectionist faction that was led by the future war cult people in the
Wow.
in the tower, and like they're all dead now, and like a lot of crazy shit's been happening. So
Jesus.
It's been fucking cool. You just found I'm not gonna spoil the new season, but you just found out like a character that has been kind of seedy for the past year. You found out some stuff behind that character that's been going on with this new season, and you have to work alongside one of your enemies this season. Apparently, like it's kind of some wild shit going on.
All right.
Mark asks, do you think the lowest rated sports players in sports games, how do you think they feel about being low rated? Do you think that they're like, this is bullshit, or do you think they're like, yeah, they got it right, I'm not that good?
Yeah, I think they know what they are. You know what I mean?
I don't like know. There's one thing apparently that the Madden folks specifically have talked about in the past, and that is every NFL player in Madden thinks that their speed rating is bullshit. Like everyone thinks that they're rated too low on speed specifically.
I mean, but even and like the rating is a number, right? Like it's not like an actual metric, right? That you can measure, right? Like what do you like? It's just a number. Like all of these things, they're just a number. But like, so if your speed is an 80, like what, 82 will make you feel better?
I should be a 90 at least.
Right. Like in terms of this particular question, the scrubs know that they're the scrubs, right? Like they know that they're not, like, because nobody's talking about them, right? But the higher level, but the superstars are always like, I should be a 99, right?
So FIFA actually circumvents this. So here's what they do that is actually kind of brilliant when you think about it. So like Ultimate Team is generally with the ratings that players care about in FIFA. So what they do to get in nice with somebody is like if like a soccer player that's in like a lower league team like bitches that they're like a 68 or something like that, what they'll do is they'll create like a special version of that player in Ultimate Team that only they can use, that literally only the player can use, and it's like a 99 rated version of their player essentially that's in the game.
Yo, that's wild, yo. That's wild. Jesus Christ.
Because like they print these like it's like a giant novelty check. Like they print these oversized like Ultimate Team cards in real life, and like you always see like the picture of the player like holding it at the ground with like the thumbs up and shit like that. It's hilarious.
Jesus, dude. God damn. Like I want to say something like go to therapy, but like, yo, just like, I don't know, get better, man.
I guess one day they can.
Jesus.
Daniel says, I feel like Netflix could have come up with something better to beta test their video game library release. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. So they're basically on the phone app, like they're beta testing gaming of sorts.
Oh, they are? I think so. Have no idea.
I think it's something you have to opt into. I don't think it's just available for any Joe Schmo that comes along and wants to fuck around with it. But this is where they want it though, man. Like Netflix blew up on phones. Like that's where things kind of kicked off for them. So that's what they want. Like they're trying to get more of that phone market share. So like they see, you know, Apple Arcade, and they see things and all these like fucking like gotcha games, or all these like, you know, limited play games, or, you know, play to win game, or not play to win, fee to play games, I call them. And they just want some of that money. Like they just want you to interact with stuff just so they can market things to you. Like that's really all they want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see, well, you might see like console quality stuff on Netflix eventually, but at first that's a bridge too far, I think, for them.
Yeah, I don't think like you said, this is all just a ploy to get people to open the app.
Yep.
And people generally don't open the app on their phones anymore. So this is just, and instead of like doing what Quibi did and, you know, create a television show, but you can only watch it in 10-minute increments, like they're trying something different.
Yep. Rev asks, what did you guys think of Maneater, which has new DLC coming out Tuesday? I did not play Maneater, though I own it because it was free on PlayStation for a little bit. So I don't have anything to say there.
I concur. I do. I don't know what Maneater is.
The shark. It's a shark PG from there.
Oh, that shark. Oh, that shark game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put it in my library, but I didn't download it. I didn't download it. It's just in my library. I always put the free games in my library in case I want to download them again or something.
Cam asks my opinion on FIFA's career mode. Is it similar to MLB The Show or something different? So I played FIFA's like player career mode. So FIFA has two career modes. I should probably start there. So they have the one where you can play as an individual player. That is sort of Road to the Show-esque. It's not nearly as deep as Road to the Show is. Like, and I haven't played Road to the Show in like 7 years, and I remember how deep it was 7 years ago. I can only imagine what Road to the Show is like now. But FIFA's career mode is not nearly that deep. Like literally, like you go out and you play, you can skip around so that you are only actually playing the game when your player's on the field. So like if you're not a starter, like, you know, the game will start when you sub in, and they'll simulate at the beginning part of it. And like the manager, and basically you just get constantly rated on how good you're doing moment to moment. So like if you make a good tackle, then your rating will go up. If you get a shot on target, your rating will go up. If you commit a foul, it'll go down. Like if you're in position where you generally should be on the pitch, then, you know, your rating will go up, and vice versa. The other career mode is the manager mode, and that is like a proper franchise mode in FIFA. That is what most people prefer to play. If they don't play Ultimate Team, then I think career mode, manager mode is the most popular game mode in FIFA. And that is very deep because you have to not only manage, you know, your club and play all the games, but managing the finances of a soccer club is pretty fucking fun. And you have to do like scouting all over the world because to build your youth academy and things of that nature as well. And send players out on loan and bring transfers in and sell on guys and all sorts of stuff. So that I would say if you want to do manager mode, it's worthwhile. If you're doing the player career mode, then if you're expecting it to be akin to MLB Road to the Show, then I don't think you're going to be satisfied. I think Road to the Show and My Player are probably the two best like individual player career modes that exist, hands down, and no one else really comes close in the sports game universe. I guess F1 kind of comes close to that as well. Beneficent says, what is the most niche game that you enjoy? They point out Train Sim World 2 as being their big niche game. Is P-Cross a niche, Micah?
I'm trying to...
Or does that fall into the puzzle game sphere?
I mean, niche, I think, is just more of a more defined version of the word genre.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like that particular type of puzzle game,
mm-hmm.
then I guess that can be considered a niche, right? Like RPGs are a genre, but roguelikes are a niche.
Sure. Well, so if you want to get super specific, so then you can say deck building based roguelikes are probably my biggest niche that I will absolutely play anything in. So,
well, there you go. I don't. Look. I've said it before countless times. I am the McDonald's of video game fandom, right? Like I am very broad. I am not. I like the smaller stuff, but I also like the Michael Bay stuff. You know what I mean? Like the real dumb shit. So I guess I do enjoy like an old school like point and click adventure game. So maybe that, but I can't think of it. Like I don't mind those Telltale games. I enjoyed them, but I would prefer to play. Like I played Telltale stuff before they were Telltale games. You know what I mean? So I do enjoy a good point and click adventure.
Gerard just popped in to say, don't really have much in the way of gaming, but on a football related tangent, Ted Lasso is such an amazing show. between you guys slowly indoctrinating me into the sport and watching this, I'll be a full-blown beer-swilling soccer hooligan in no telling you.
It's look, that's how I got into it, right? I got into it because Brad won't shut up about soccer. And Ted Lasso. And Ted Lasso is a very good show. I think you would like it. There's been a lot of backlash about the second season.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly think it's because people don't get it, right? Like Ted Lasso is he's incredibly like positive,
mm-hmm.
but he wears it as a mask, right? Like because he's got some really serious things going on in his life that he doesn't want to talk about. And so to compensate, he's overly positive to the point where it's kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're only looking at it on the surface, like you're not going to see, and I don't know how you couldn't, because the guy has had multiple panic attacks, for God's sakes. Like it's such a good show, man. And I just don't understand the backlash, but it's a very good show. I enjoy it very much. And
I need to make time for it. It's tough. But like I said, I've heard it's silly that I haven't watched Ted Lasso. of all people. But like I said, I appreciate Ted Lasso's existence because it has already gotten more people that I can think of, more than anything else recently, gotten more people interested in the soccer. Probably the most galvanizing U.S. soccer event since the 2010 World Cup, I would say.
Yeah, which was funny because Ted Lasso originated as a marketing campaign to get people to watch it. He was the coach. He was going to coach your team.
Yes, he was the coach of Tottenham.
and that didn't work, right? I don't think it worked. But this show did. So it's funny. They had their fictional team beat Tottenham, and I was like, I was sure that they weren't going to do that, right? Because Tottenham is a real fucking team.
Well, what was this, like an FA Cup match or something like that?
I think it was, yeah, because they at the end. Sorry, spoiler alert. At the end of the first season, they get regulated. Whatever. What did I say? Regulate, like
regulated. They get relegated.
Yeah. Warren G and Nate Dogg are there, and they're regulating. No, they got relegated. So, and they're not back yet. So
yeah. Well, there you go. You've established the journey, I guess, to get that, to move them back up. So yeah, and see, it's funny because like a minnow beating a shark basically is one of the coolest things. It happens in English football more than the other countries, but that's why, like, when we get around to the FA Cup and we get around to the League Cup, like that's why the FA Cup and the League Cup are so exciting, because that is really the like any given Sunday kind of thing. And that's where you see like the Cinderella teams come up in English football, is when like a lower league side goes on a run and just knocks off a couple like Premier League or like championship level teams, essentially on their run up. And like they're like to the point where like there's been a handful of League One and League Two, which are the fourth and third tier of English soccer, respectively. I know the name sounds weird, but that's how.
I looked it up. I was like, well, this naming convention is stupid.
Yeah, but a couple of those clubs have made it to literally like the League Cup final against like a Manchester City, and part of that's because like the big teams often like don't play their first string lineups in those games. Like they use that to rotate out some players or to give some of their kids some exposure. So that's why you get a lot of those upsets. But yeah, it's interesting. And then Leonardo asked a tattoo question to Carrie, who's not on the show this week because she's at an Alanis Morissette concert. So she asked you and I, Micah, what is your favorite Alanis Morissette song?
You ought to know.
You ought to know is the correct answer. Okay. If anyone says ironic, it means they're not truly an Alanis Morissette fan. It means they have not listened to the entirety of Jagged Little Pill, which was issued to people issued to white people in 1995, which helped it get to the record chart. Jagged Little Pill's a good album. Like I said, lots more sets of cool chick. Carrie's very lucky.
Well, there you go. I didn't know she was still active.
Yeah, she's still doing stuff. Like I said, Jagged Little Pill came issued stock with your Ace of Base CD back in the mid-90s as well. So like that was like the white person pop music starter pack that you got.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
get the Hoopa Unbound Pokemon tattoo, Leonardo. There you go. I'll answer for Carrie. That's the tattoo you should get. I just looked up weird Pokemon, and that's the weirdest one that came up.
I keep leaning, like I've wanted to get a tattoo for a very long time. My problem is I can never decide on what to get. Like I want to get something that's meaningful to me. That won't just be like a passing fad in my life. That'll be something that sticks with me. I think I figured it out.
What's that?
The sacred symbols.
The sacred. Oh,
you know what I mean? Like that's always going to be important to me.
Well, hold on. I don't know if you've heard of a little company called the PepsiCo Corporation. Would you ever consider getting their logo tattooed on your shoulder or your chest or whatever?
I'm not seeing it. No, but of all the things in video gaming that have been most meaningful to me, arguably, PlayStation to me is the most meaningful one. And I think getting symbols is cooler than getting like the PlayStation logo, which feels like too much obvious branding.
Now, do you call it the X button or do you call it the cross button?
Cross, of course.
Okay, all right. I was just making sure.
Yeah, X is for Microsoft and Nintendo controllers. It's not for Sony controllers.
We just blew certain people's minds, right? They call it cross.
That's ubiquitously known, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. I don't think. Look, we'll find out. Somebody will be like, Cam will be like, I always called it cross.
Well,
somebody else will be
cross.
like,
well, it's cross because they've never really had they don't really have an X in Japanese. So
right.
That's why it's cross. That's why whenever you see any game title that's like something X something else, it means that the X
cross. Yeah, so. and none of the other symbols are letters.
Correct.
So why would that be a letter?
Well, I mean, the circle could be an O if you really want to get pedantic about it. So I do not, however. But yeah, so if I do it, it'll probably be that. It'll probably be like on my inner forearm. One supposes. Bicep tattoos, I don't know. That doesn't see I don't wear sleeveless.
Yeah, I don't wear sleeveless shirts.
Yeah. Plus my upper arm is incredibly hairy all the time. So that's no good either. I don't feel.
There you go. Would you get them in the square shape or the line, the Tetris-like line shape?
The Tetris line shape.
Well, it's either normally they are in a square.
Oh
position.
No, I would get them in the Tetris 4-block line. Pack.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In the correct order as well. Like the correct order, if I'm not mistaken, is square, triangle, circle, cross.
Yes.
Is the correctly defined order. So
yes.
That is how that has to go, and in color too, because you'd have to. So
I mean, if you're getting it, you might as well get it in color.
Yeah. So very cool. Well, that's the show for you guys this week. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the Discord by going to densepixels.com/fans. Again, with the newly added F1 and soccer channels that are in there. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe over on YouTube with youtube.com/densepixels. And follow us on Twitch as well. I'm DensePixels Brad. Terrence is Apparition 410, and Carrie is Tuppence Carrie. Not today, Tuesday, because apparently today is the day that everyone's boycotting Twitch to boycott the hate raids that are going on. But in the future, sure. I've already figured out how I can do the sim rig presentation on Twitch. So you might see me doing some racing coming up here soon. So I can look like a complete ass.
Man. Hey, you'll look like you're having fun, and you'll probably get more people to you will single-handedly get more people into racing games. You got people into soccer.
Yeah, I did.
You'll get them into racing.
It's so, oh my God, F1 is so much fun. It's right now, F1 is in peak silly season where everyone's waiting for the team announcements for next year to get made because there's expected to be some movement with certain drivers switching teams. but like it's taken longer than it normally would in a typical season for some reason, and people are just like, come on, like get on with it. Like we gotta know who's racing where next season. So that'll be very exciting. Dutch Grand Prix this weekend. Looking forward to it. Apparently Zandvoort is a pretty cool track, so that'll be a fun watch as well.
When Jason Sudeikis gets a F1 TV show, then I'll get into it.
Again, like I said, it's the same benefits of soccer translate to F1. It's 2 hours. There's no commercials. It's fast. It's fun to watch as a neutral. Like you don't have to have a rooting interest. So all sorts of good stuff.
All right.
Well, that's it for us. Thank you all very much for watching and listening. We'll see you all the next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.